Hi, I'm Dr. Kevin Mailo, and you're listening to the Physician Empowerment Podcast. At Physician Empowerment, we're focused on transforming the lives of Canadian physicians through education and finance, practice transformation, wellness, and leadership. After you've listened to today's episode, I encourage you to visit us at phys-empowerment.ca, that's P-H-Y-S, empowerment.ca, to learn more about the many resources we have to help you make that change in your own life, practice, and personal finances. Now on to today's episode. Hi there, I'm Dr. Kevin Mailo, one of the co-hosts of the Physician Empowerment Podcast and one of the co-founders of Physician Empowerment. And on today's episode, I'm very excited to bring to you my fellow co-host, co-founder, Dr. Wing Lim. And Wing is a very close friend of mine, a mentor, like a father figure to me. You're a lot to me, Wing. And we've had an incredible journey together. We met years ago, and we've done so much together. But let me introduce you to our audience. Wing is a family physician based out of Sherwood Park, Alberta, just east of Edmonton, and practice focused mostly on the care of the elderly. But I think saying that you're a family doctor really does not describe you in anywhere close to its fullest sense, because you are so much more than your medical practice. You are a real estate developer, a business person, an educator. So why don't you go ahead and share today a little bit about your journey, because I'm inspired by your journey of going from a struggling family doctor in the early 90s to what you are now and how you got there. So just go ahead and share with us what that was like. And I'll interrupt from time to time with my questions.
Sure. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. And yes, Kevin and I, we met half a dozen years ago, maybe. Yeah. And we instantly clicked, and I caught his stream and Dimitri's stream about this physician empowerment thing. And I thought, wow, I was actually a speaker, right? For the audience that didn't know, I was actually a guest speaker in the Toronto conference at the humble beginning.
That's one of the most exciting things is we have somebody that comes to our conferences, and then the next year they're like, but now I want to speak and share. And I love it. Absolutely love it.
Exactly. They say vision is not taught, is caught. So I caught the vision. And here we are doing podcasts and webinars and seminars and masterclasses together, right? And so my humble beginning, I was a U of A graduate, family med grad. In those days, we have about 1 hour of health economics education. So I graduated with nothing, zero. How to build nothing.
I'll be happy to share with you that it is 100% more now.
Right.
No, I'm joking.
2 hours?
Yeah, a whopping 2 hours. All right, okay, keep going.
Yeah,
sorry.
So I was so risk averse, but you know what? I was offered practices for free at that time. That's in the early 90s, and practices were given away. Nobody was buying practice. And a lot of people left to US, East to West Coast. You can go to anywhere. They'll give you a green card, match your spouse, match your kids' work/school. But I didn't go. I was so risk averse, and I stayed right in Edmonton, right? And then so as I walked in this dream practice, and it cost me more money than I could afford. So we borrowed this big amount of money to us at that time. And my wife actually gave up her profession and joined me to chase my dream, building a clinic. And I thought, I got my own x-ray and my own lab. This is my mini emerge department, right? So at that time, I actually want to be my guy at the emerge department. So we ran 100 hours per week. That was 20 hours work cut from 120 hours. So we got residency. And off we went 16 months, not a day break, 16 to 24-hour days, right? We went home at 11 p.m., my wife and I, and mowed the lawn. And at the next year's block party, people say, oh, you're the guy that mowed the lawn at 11 p.m. So and then the first year, I was struggling this painful story. First year, we found that, we didn't save money for tax. And then we have to pay tax. Oh my goodness! And then the first Christmas, actually, Alberta Health does not. We're in Alberta. Alberta Health does not pay for 2 weeks, so we didn't have money to pay ourselves. We coughed up some money to pay our staff, and then the following year, Christmas, we faced an eviction. The previous landlord died, an old physician that sold me the practice, died in Spain. The new landlord came and doubled the rent, and we went to court and we lost. And I remember that we got 30-day notice, November 30th. So the next 30 days is to move a clinic pronto. And we have a newborn baby, and we spend his Christmas in the construction site. It was just I wonder if I still have a PTSD from that. and then just life goes on, and the kids, we got three kids in 4 years, something like that, 5 years, right? It's just like you understand, right, Kevin? You got 4 kids, right? We got 3 kids, all close by. So life just happened, and you just get hit by the upside of the head. And I told people that I didn't go to business school; I went to the school of hard knocks, right? Everything that we bump into, the mistake that we make was so very costly, and then we pay high tuition in terms of money and disappointment and distress, right? And so fast forward, this is my 30th year of practice, and so I'm in a group practice, 30 plus physician. It turns out to be one of the largest practice in Alberta. We're actually, I think, officially we're the biggest client for Wolf, for TELUS Health in Alberta, for the EMR. And our panel size is about 50 to 60,000 patients, which is half of the county. And we built a building, a medical professional building that is 75,000 square feet with 5 acres of parking. And we handle collectively in the building, not just our clinic, 2,000 patients a day. And that's about 500,000 visits a year. And so when you look at that, wow, how did I arrive here? Right? Today, I wake up, sometimes I pinch myself. And so if I met some of these movie things, you meet your future self, like you say, are you kidding me? Right? I was so risk averse that when the first before I even bought my practice, my preceptor in my family residency program was willing to cough up money and risk and start a brand new clinic just to have me show up to work. And I was so scared. I said, what if nobody comes to see me? From zero, I can't even pay rent. And my wife laughed at me. She says, you're such a scaredy cat. And there's a Chinese dish called the soy sauce chicken. She says, somebody's giving you chicken, you just give the soy sauce and you're too scared. I was that risk adverse. And we just finished building a senior home that we launched a year ago, 156 unit, 6-story high, award-winning building that is filling up pretty good. And we signed collectively a $43.5 million loan. So from a guy who's afraid of putting out soy sauce for soy sauce chicken to that, it's a journey. It's a journey.
It's an incredible journey. And so you touched on one important thing that a lot of physicians, I think, struggle with, and we've talked about that before, is the ability to tolerate risk. And I think some of it comes from our training, that we are inherently risk averse, but also the fact that I think we deal with a lot of risk fatigue, right? You go to work and you honestly, if you really look at it, you make life and death calls all the time, whether you are a radiologist or a psychiatrist, an ER doctor, a family doctor, whatever your practice background, you deal in people's lives. But I think it doesn't leave a lot of space for us to be risk takers in our financial lives, or I don't want to say risk takers. I don't even like that word, risk managers, because there is no risk, there is no reward without risk in finance, right? Wing, you to date, that's how I describe it now, to date have executed $100 million in new developments, of which you've been the principal. And there's more coming, right? But somewhere along the lines, your mindset changed and you learned to manage risk from being the fraidy cat new grad to a real estate developer that, like you said, signed $43 million in loans. So talk to us a little bit about how you got there. And this is the term that we use at Physician Empowerment, and that came from you, Wing, is CBE. Like medicine, we have CME, which is continuing medical education. In order to develop ourselves financially and build wealth and create financial security and to build efficient, effective medical practices, we need to have CBE, continuous business education. So why don't you share with us a little bit about your journey in this space?
Sure. So what is underneath the CBE is a growth mindset, right? If you don't have a growth mindset, they say if you don't have a goal in life, maybe you have arrived. If you don't know where you're going, right? So I think first step for the CBE, or first step to the growth mentality, is to give ourselves permissions, right? Give ourselves permission to acknowledge where we are at, right? I like this idea. I went to a big conference and they say, go to the mirror and look at your image and say, I'm an idiot. outside of my own field, right? And when the first time I looked at this, I laughed and was deep down, I was mad. I'm not an idiot, I'm a doctor. But if we are truthful to ourselves, we're all idiots, right? Outside of our own field. And people, that's why, well, I have friends who said, that's why I want to be a specialist. I don't want to be a general practitioner that needs to know everything about everything, but I would know this and this is my field, right? So outside of field, which we spent so many years, how many years did we spend in school? Oh my goodness, right? A few decades. And then so we have missed out learning a lot of the stuff, taking interest. So by the time we finish medicine, we've finally hit the real world. And all these book knowledge, all these stuff, clinical trials and all that, suddenly doesn't apply. The evidence-based science paradigm doesn't apply. So we need to have the mindset. And the first step is to acknowledge that, okay, I'm starting something brand new, right? Give myself permission that I know nothing. I'm going to start from scratch. And then learn something new every day. Do something new every day, right? And so I went to another conference, a leadership conference. It's a global leadership conference. And to be up there, you got to be somebody. Like there's a conference where they interview 23-year-olds. Wow, 23-year-old. She happens to have like 13 million followers. People made it. And one of the speaker, he said, I'll give you an assignment. I'd like you to get a bunch of friends together, find not your regular medical professional friends, other friends, that you need to have a 2-hour discussion that you have nothing to contribute, that you know nothing about, and just take it in and let them talk on things that you don't understand, so that you don't say, let me teach you on this, right? And he says, I challenge you, this is your homework after this leadership conference, go and find somebody that you can have a 2-hour conversation and you just got nothing to contribute. You just open your ears and learn. And for me, that's not hard. My kids are young adults. They talk on language I don't understand. My son is a musician, him and his friends, and all these high-tech stuff, web stuff and music stuff, anime stuff that I understand every English word. There's not a thing I can contribute. So how often, when's the last time you learned something new? You did something that you haven't done and something you didn't go to school for? Right? Once we give ourselves that permission to learn, the license to learn, we suddenly become humble again. Right? We climb a mountain. We thought we're top, at the peak. We're the big fish. Now we start all over again. It's a new discipline. It's like a new language, right? And to me, personal finance was one of those. Right? I was at a crossroad. Like I went to school, and when I graduated, finished my residency, I was doing literally everything I went to school for. Deliveries, hospital admission, psych stuff, psychotherapy, home visits, mentoring kids, mentoring youngsters, young interns and residents. I did everything, 100 hours per week. Do I feel really actualized? Professionally, I probably was, but I felt so stuck in life, right? So that's why I thought I knew nothing about this real life thing, especially personal finance and corporate finance, the business side. I need to start and learn something I haven't got. And so step number one is permission to learn something. Second is to prioritize. So when I got my CCFP, the first FCFP, right? You need, for those of us in family med, we belong to the College of Family Physician, but you need that 10-year thing. Right now, it's a lot more to get your FCFP. So I was invited to go for convocation, right? And I have a very pragmatic wife who used to be a financial planner. And she said that, Dad, in front of kids, right? Nice that you could go to a convo, but can you put this new title on the table and we eat it as dinner? No, it was joke. It was joke. We didn't want to put down any title or degrees, right? For some of us, we got more degrees than a thermometer. Kudos to all of you guys, right? But the pragmatic side, does it change us financially? I also have colleagues after 16 years of family practice went back and did a residency. One became a dermatologist, one became ortho, you name it, right? So at the end of the day, did we change this trading time for money treadmill, right? I was saying to myself, if I trade my day job to a night job, or I go back to school, give this up, and is still trading time for money, or one of our speakers in Toronto is trading life energy for money, I'm no better off. So I want to learn differently. So and then some mentors popped up. One mentor, he's a physician who's now in the 80s, Dr. George, we call him. And George says, Wayne, how would you like to have earn 1% of 100 people, or 1% of one person. I said, what kind of question is that, George? He says, let me repeat, right? And said, I actually understood your question. I just find it shocking. I knew how to do 100% of one person. That was me at 100 hours for a week. And if I don't perform, there's nothing coming in. When we take a holiday, you got a double loss. I'm sick and tired of it. And kids are coming, everybody need a piece of me. I was just burning out, right? And the government was getting more and more hostile on us. And I'm sure everybody relate on that, right? Patient demands, government regulations, to college, you name it, right? And so I began to think, okay, what is life like in the real world? How can we learn to be better and different? So the big number 2 step for me was actually the prioritization of investing time and money for an education, right? Instead of taking a residency, a second residency, I'm taking, quote, a residency in mastery of wealth. So that was my residency. So my mentor says, how would you like to prioritize 8 to 12 hours a week and create a different future, right? Our life is either by design or by default, right? If we don't design it, it's by default, somebody else's default, not our default, right? Some health economists trying to design your and my life on our pay structure, and then that's our default. That's why we're stuck, right? The tax system is fixing us, especially recently, more and more hostile to us physicians who are incorporated or even non-incorporated, right? The ARP structure, right? Like everything, it's somebody's default. So how do we design our life to have a different future for us and our family, to enjoy life, enjoy our profession, and have some life, right? And so the key is to prioritize time, effort, brain space, and money to put aside and say, this is my ongoing CBE, continuous business education.
Wow. Wow. Absolutely love that, Wing. And this isn't, we talk about this at physician empowerment all the time. This is so much more than dollars and cents and money. We teach a lot of money. We teach a lot of finance. We can get into a lot of details. But the bigger question all of us need to be asking is our why. And what Wing is touching on, I think, is so important here, is this notion of living our lives by design, not getting tossed around in the ocean of government regulation, fee structures, taxes, overhead, the cost of living, but being able to take control. And it's not only about making money and creating that financial security, but it's also about practicing better medicine, that we just aren't beholden to these forces that drive our practice decisions as well. So I think that's just so important what you're sharing, Wing. And like you said, it's not necessarily an easy journey. I think for a lot of us, I'll reflect on my own life, it's very easy to just go back into our clinical work and just do it because we're so highly trained and we're good at it. Do you know what I mean? Like it took me a long time to really step out and learn to invest in real estate and do it well. Learn to start another company and do it well. Like for you, Wing, to become a real estate developer, that took time, right? But it's not just the time, it's that mental effort and that vulnerability to step out and say, okay, I'm about to do something I have no clue about. And I'm about to sit in a room full of people that I know a fraction of what they do in the area we're about to discuss. And it's hard for us as physicians because it's very easy to say, well, yeah, I'll just go back into the clinic and, bill that X amount of dollars, or I'll go back to the hospital and bill that X amount of dollars and not think about it. But we're ultimately trading our time and our energy for money. And as we get older, that trade becomes less and less beneficial, if I can be frank.
Right. So I learned from lots of great masters, and I've got a lot of these one-liners that became an internal monologue right now. So one of which is the enemy of good is not bad. Enemy of best is not worse. The enemy of best is good.
Yeah.
And because we're good at what we do, right? Or we thought we're good in this bubble, which is called the healthcare system, right? We opportunity cost is the best. But what else is better for us and our family, for our future, for our profession as a body together, right? And if we don't leave our comfort zone, get a little bit risky, get a little bit vulnerable, eat a few humble pies, we'll never, ever change our future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? They say, what's your 5-year plan? Look at the last 5 years.
But it's true.
If nothing changes.
It's true, right? It's absolutely true. And it really is about like, you know, being willing to put ourselves out there, being willing to grow personally. And it's not just about like, CBE for me, and I think for most of us, isn't just about reading more or, dedicated teaching. And obviously there's a role for that. I mean, come to our conferences, grab great books. There are great podcasts out there. There's so much, right? But it's more than knowledge, it's experience. And it's about actually getting out and stepping foot into some of these spaces that maybe we're not as comfortable with anymore, meeting some of these people. What do you want to say to that, Wing?
I'm going to say one thing. What is more important than knowledge that you could buy is perspective that you may or may not be able to buy. If you get a different perspective in life, you change everything. Right? That's how movers and shakers, how they disrupt the world, create needs that is not even fathomed by humankind. So these decompressing perspective changes, paradigm shifts, happen in my life a few times. And all you need is one glimpse. Your brain gets decompressed. It's like the what do you call that? When you drive, what do you call that? The airbag that got deployed. You gotta put it back. My brain got decompressed, and I could not put it back. Right. And I start to morph. This is a metamorphosis. It's an evolution.
Yeah.
You evolve to be somebody else. So right now, 10 years later, I say, okay, now I can tell you I do double major now. My double major is health and wealth.
No, it's absolutely true, right? It is. And I mean, one of those things is just creating time in our schedule to have those moments. And it doesn't have to be anything big and dramatic. I mean, it doesn't mean, going and doing hallucinogens on some beach, some abandoned tropical beach, right? Like you don't have to go out those moments. Like create space, go for a walk, a long walk a few times a month, and just think your thoughts. Don't have any distractions. Don't have a podcast. Don't even have this podcast in your ears. Like just go out there and think your thoughts and think about what you want in life and how you're going to go out and get it. Right. But just stepping out of that narrow lens that we look at.
Yeah. And we're all busy, right? Nobody's not busy, right? So I'm going to give a personal model I'm going to share here. It's called consistent quality part-time effort.
Ooh.
If we have that, consistency is like cruise control, right? Set it at 110, right? I'm amazed a lot of miles that I drove. I'm sure all of you, right? When you get on a cruise control, I found that I pass more cars. If I don't remember, I pass people, but they pass me, right? So consistency, quality, part-time effort. And all these real estate deals that I've done, I haven't quit my profession yet. I still have a practice to run, right? I can't drop shifts. I have no shifts. I have same panel patients. If I take drop shifts, they still on my panel. I'm still on call from my.
Yeah, no, trust me. I see them in the emergency department, and I send you a big long letter about things you got to deal with.
Exactly. Yes. So, and all these stuff that I created, and thank God every day for that. And it's always a team effort. You learn to leverage, but that's not the name of the talk today. It was all part-time. Right. And you can do this part-time, guys. Right. So I challenge everyone to really, dig deep and look at yourself, look at your future, look at your family future. What are you worth? Are you worth what the healthcare system tells you? Are you worth what the structure that cooked up by some health economists? Are you worth that? Are you worth better? What's your future, your family future? If you want to design it, if time and money were no object, if success is guaranteed, dream a little bit. What if, right? And see what comes out.
And I think that's one more thing that we're going to touch base on is like, this path to wealth or success or whatever you want to call it. This isn't someone else's path. This is about finding your own. This is about finding your own passions, right? So like you got a dream to build some massive, efficient clinic, that transforms healthcare in your area. I mean, maybe that's where you want to go, right? Or if there's a research interest or, an academic interest that you've got, but you need to create space in your schedule, which means you got to, sort out your finances to do it, then go, right? Like, it's about finding your path, not about following somebody else's. And at physician empowerment, we always laugh that we don't have a lot of answers. We got a lot of questions, right? And it's those internal questions you ask yourself, your own why, that helps you light that fire and helps you inspire yourself to go out there and chase your dreams, because life is short and it is flying by. And I think it's so important to use that CBE, that continuous business education, to go out there and really develop your passions, right? Don't live them, don't look at them as some dream on the horizon, but live them every day, which I think is so powerful.
Yeah, so I think the CBE is basically part of a personal growth program.
Yeah, it's bigger than CBE. You're right.
Yeah, and actually, when you dig deep, a lot of this, that's when I speak on and teach on practice transformation, we don't call it practice management. It's a transformation. You transform yourself. And even in the wealth strategy course we teach at the master class, which the next class is
that's every month. If anyone's interested, just let us know.
And
we run a monthly class. We run a monthly class on wealth creation and CBE.
Yeah, exactly. And part of that is really not just about money, right? And we're going to touch about the 3 dynamic T's and the talent management, right? So we talk about a lot of things, that how to manage your time, your talent, other people's talents, and the treasure, right? So it's so polydimensional, and you would change deep in to be a bigger person, right? And wealth is exactly that. Is not just money, right? So look forward to empowering a bunch of people. That's why we started Physician Empowerment together. We want to ignite you, inspire you, right? And our story is not your story, right? Of course not. And my success it may not be your definition of success, but we want you to share your story of success. We want to inspire people to achieve their dreams. And together we have a better profession and better society, right? So
that is the dream, right? Is to see physicians not only financially secure, but truthfully living their best life, being their healthiest, being their happiest, but also doing their best medicine. Because when we answer those big questions about finances and we create, that balance in our lives, then we are doing our best medicine, and we are serving our patients, and we are serving our communities. And that is the dream. And that is what is so exciting about physician empowerment.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Wing, I think we're going to wrap it up. This is amazing. I'm just so glad that we're launching the podcast finally. It's an exciting step forward. I really love it.
Yes, I look forward to. We have a whole host of people we want to interview, interesting people, colleagues, and otherwise. That I look forward to all these podcasts coming up.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
everyone. Thank you so much for listening to the Physician Empowerment Podcast. If you're ready to take those next steps in transforming your practice, finances, or personal well-being, then come and join us at physempowerment.ca, PHYS empowerment.ca, to learn more about how we can help. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd really appreciate it if you would share our podcast with a colleague or friend, and head over to Apple Podcasts to give us a 5-star rating and review. If you've got feedback, questions, or suggestions for future episode topics, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to join us and be interviewed and share some of your story, we'd absolutely love that as well. Please send me an email at kmilo@physempowerment.ca. Thank you again for listening. Bye.